In verse 15, I'd like to draw your attention to a statement that God makes. He said he will utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. You know, we were trying to establish yesterday how that altars have vocabulary, how that altars can speak, altars have a voice. And the moment you put a sacrifice on an altar, you have triggered his speakings in the realm of the spirit. And the speakings is according to the shekels of the sanctuary. The speakings are not natural speakings. The speakings are provocations in the realm of the spirit that cause spirit beings to utter words. When spirit beings utter words, those words have the ability to shape territories. When spirit beings utter words, those words have the capacity to shape destinies. When spirit beings utter words, they have the capacity to initiate several seasons in the lives of individuals, in the lives of a community, and indeed in the lives of nations. But the Bible is saying that God has the capacity to utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. When altars speak, they can take advantage of the power of rivers. They can take advantage of the power of winds. They can take advantage of the weather and weaponize the weather, weaponize circumstances and situations to fight against you. They can weaponize and toxify your relationships. Your relationship with your wife can become toxic just because an altar is speaking. And if we do not learn the vocabulary of such speakings, we may not be able to detect the utterances that are spoken, and we may not realize that these are speakings. When you dethrone an altar, you replace it with another one. If there was someone in your family that the devil conscripted to become the messenger of a certain spiritual gate, and that gate brought travail, it brought injury, it brought infirmity, it brought reproach, and you want to change all of that speaking, there must be a priest that will rise up and set up a different altar and bring a spirit that is more powerful than the spirit that they have invited through the demonic altar into the territory. Are you there? You are not following me. The same level of devotion that the spirit of darkness, the priest of darkness, exercised in order to bring that demonic presence into the space will be the same level, same minimum level of devotion that the priest of light will need to bring to the table in order to bring a different speaking into the realm. Are you there? The moment you set up a counter altar, you set up a counter altar, what you have done is this. I know you are well aware that there can be no two captains in one ship. So if you bring a counter altar, the altars are going to wrestle, and the altar that is superior will take charge of the ship. No two altars that can govern a territory. If you bring a counter altar into the territory, bring a counter altar into the family, bring a counter altar into the community. That's why they are allergic in a witchcraft oriented place. They are allergic to you planting a living church, because what you are doing has the potential to undo everything they have built. And it doesn't matter how old the altar is. It can be an altar that has lasted for about 43 generations. We care not to know the history, where they went to import the spirit, where they got the articles that was used to build the altar. Don't even go into all those details. Just bring in a counter altar. When you bring in a counter altar into the space, expect something. Expect a fight. And this fight, this warfare, how many of you still remember the battle that took place between David and Goliath? What they did in that battle, yes, Goliath was an established warrior, a renowned warrior from the time of his youth. And David was not even admitted even into the league of warriors at the time. But as a warrior as Goliath was, when he wanted to confront David, he began to curse David with the name of his gods. He did not depend on the capacity of his sword, neither did he depend on the capacity of his shield or his brute strength. He knows by experience that the easiest way to be sure of victory is to move the battle into the supernatural. So he came against David in the name of the gods that supported his sword. And David, understanding what was going on, knew he was no match if he tries to fight back as David. And what he did was that he came against him in the name of the Lord of hosts, whose armies he has divided. You see the difference between Goliath's presentation and David's presentation is that David added an infraction that Goliath had committed. So I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts, whose armies you have pitched yourself against. So when the battle went into the realm of the supernatural, it was a fight of altars. It took the foolishness of catapult to finish the fight in the natural realm. May the Lord give you understanding. If you want to put to naught the workings of the altar of witchcraft that has been marginalizing the destinies of many in your family, then one from among you must become a priest of light. And he needs to go and check the devotion of the guy that is managing the priesthood of witchcraft that is in the clan. Because your life is going to be like that man. The way the man is devoted to the priesthood, the altar, that's how you are going to be devoted to the priesthood of light. Oh, if you ask me, I will tell you, I've had so many opportunities to sleep with so many women, apart from my wife. So many. One of the encouragements for which I will not stoop that low is because I know the kind of sacrifice, the kind of devotion that the priest that represented darkness in my family brought to the table. Even then themselves never slept with any woman that they did not marry. I'm talking of the righteousness of witchcraft. Oh my. I don't have time. So I will be fooling myself to think that I want to play the role of a priest to replace the speakings of that altar if I don't bring something better than what they presented. I'm operating a better covenant, there's no doubt about that. I'm operating a covenant that is choked with better promises. I'm operating a covenant that has better foundation. No doubt about that. But you see, the inconsistency of the priest can actually make the covenant null and void. And instead of you to become a harbinger of light, an instrument through which God begins to speak into the territory and to manipulate the territory into their original calling, the original ordination. Instead of me to be that, me myself will become a carrier of the symptoms of the altar that is manipulating my family. If you want to blot out the speakings of an altar, you must be ready to become the priest of a righteous altar. Just like darkness never argues with light when light shows up. That's how a demonic altar cannot argue with the authority of a righteous altar. Being a priest of an altar confers so much responsibility upon you. Hallelujah. And the reason for which I make the sacrifice is not for myself alone. I make the sacrifice because of my children. I make the sacrifice because of family members. I make the sacrifice so that the highway can be made and so that the possibilities of Israel traveling on dry ground can come to pass again. Anytime he blots out the tongue of the Egyptian sea, he causes the ransom to walk on dry ground. the pathway of destiny becomes clear. Everyone takes their journey. But if you see men going around in cycles, if you see giants and princes walk on foot, and servants ride on horseback, then you need to know that there is an evil that has manifested itself under the sun. Hallelujah.